The Polyglot Gathering is brought to you by italki. Become fluent in any language.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So, I tried to put in one presentation everything I learned about business and publishing online and teaching languages. So in just one presentation, we have only about 40 minutes because I like to have a lot of time for questions. So let's get this thing started. First, a quick introduction. My name is Fabien. I've been publishing language books and different types of material for people to learn English since 2007. To date, I've published 6 products. I started alone in my bedroom and now have about 11 freelancers working with me. And it took me from making no money to making a little over 100,000 euros in 12 months. And so I'm going to try and share my story. I'll try to focus on what's important and what's useful and what you might be able to use in your own work. Something very peculiar about my business is that I only have under 4,000 unique visitors per month. It's been pretty much the same thing since the beginning, so I'm not going to talk so much about blogging. I am going to talk about building a list of people who want to learn a specific language and creating the products they need. I guess you're here because you're interested about making some extra income or maybe working full-time teaching languages. I think it's a pretty good thing to do because you get to do what you love to do. Hopefully you all love languages, so why not spend your whole day, your whole time doing that and getting paid for it? Why should you do that? I think a lot of people feel that it's just not for me. I should work in an office like everyone else. But I think actually working for yourself, being your own boss, is a normal thing to do. That's what people used to do before the Industrial Revolution, and then people started, living in the farm, living in the workshop, to work in factories and work in an office. I think it makes more sense to be your own boss because you get to choose what you want to work on. Pretty nice lifestyles comes with that. I got to travel around the world for 3 years. I was working a lot, but I got to see a lot of different countries. And one more reason why you should maybe do things, make things happen, is that, okay, quick show of hands, who is totally, completely happy with the options you have to learn languages? Like every single book you want to have is out there, every single thing you want is out there. No one, right? A couple of people are fully satisfied. Okay. Personally, I see that learning Russian or Hungarian. For example, in Russian, spelling and pronunciation don't really make sense. Pretty much the same thing in English. So I wish, for example, that I IP transcriptions everywhere, but usually you don't. So I think there are a lot of things we can create that would be very valuable to people learning languages, and we don't have to wait for anyone to do that. We can just do that ourselves, self-publish, and make a living doing that. I'm going to share my story. So I started in 2007. It was I just wanted to. I like to create things, and I wanted to create a book about. Well, I'm French, and well, let's say that French people have a reputation for being pretty bad at languages, especially English. And I was lucky to speak English better than the average Frenchman, and I just ended up writing a book about what made the difference. So the first book was just a bunch of techniques about what to do to improve your English. Very simple things such as watching TV, using music and lyrics, using the internet, using audiobooks, thinking in English, things like that. When I started, I had nothing. We all start from zero, obviously. And so what I did is I started a small website where I just told people, hey, it was just one simple landing page where I said, hey guys, I'm writing this book about improving one's English, and it's gonna be ready in a while. If you wanna receive a chapter for free and tell me what you think, just leave me your email address. That's all I did. And 9 months later, the book was ready. It to be fair, the book was written in 2 weeks, but then I spent like 9 months thinking, oh, this is not good enough, I have to improve everything. So you can actually get a lot of things done very quickly. Then you just don't try to be perfect, just try to get things done, and then you can always improve. In any case, when the book was published, I already had like, I don't know, something like 300 people on my mailing list, and so I sent them a chapter each, asking for feedback. I improved the book based on that feedback, and then I just sold the book, and I started making money thanks to the book. I then spent a few years. That was a bit of a part-time project, and then I spent a lot of time trying to just push a product, if that makes sense. I was like, okay, I have a book, some people buy it, so what I need now is more marketing. I need to run advertisement and things like that. And actually, I think that I was headed the wrong way. I just wasted too much time just trying to push a product, while I think a better approach, we're going to be talking about that in a bit, a better approach would be to just find out what people need and create it for them and sell it to them. It's much more simple, and you don't have to be too focused about marketing. So in February 2012, I had a second book ready based on my experience learning Hungarian and reading a lot about how the brain works and about learning and teaching languages. The title of the book, I think, was a bit of a mistake. It's called Le Don des Langues, which was translated to The Gift for Languages. And while language enthusiasts might really be interested in such a title, I think that most people, the lay people, just want to learn their first foreign language, wouldn't be that interested in such a title because they want something much more specific. Anyway, I made some more income thanks to the second book, but about 360 euros a month. But still, it was pretty much all profit because I didn't have much cost. You just write a book, you sell it. Web hosting is very cheap, and things actually started picking up once I published a third book. And that third book, I made it just because there was people on my newsletter which kept growing. What do you guys need? And something that kept coming back again and again was, okay, I have a hard time understanding spoken English, or maybe I'm able to read and write, but when I speak, no one understands me. So I just created a product about improving one's spoken English. It's very simple. I just created a phonetics course, comparing the pronunciation and the intonation, things like that, between French and English. And I did a bunch of bonuses. I was teaching people, some difficulties in spelling and pronunciation in English. And when I did that, when I launched that product, we'll talk about launching if we have time. When I launched that product, I made my first month of 1,000 euros, and I actually made close to 5,000 euros. And the irony of all that is that when I was promoting the new book, so many people bought the older book because I was talking, basically what you want to have is a communication that keeps going on between you and your customers, and your prospects. And so because I was creating so much excitement, a lot of people ended up buying the older books, and I made like 1,000 euros in royalties on Amazon, even though that was the first time I could actually make a living from the whole business. After that, I kept doing partnerships. I just kept promoting my first 3 books and working on a new product. Is it interesting to talk about the story? Because I have a lot of things to share, but I'd like to show you also what it can look like to be publishing, and the problems you might have, and the opportunities you might find. So when I was working on a new product. So after teaching people how to learn and how to learn phonetics, I wanted to offer sort of the whole 9 yards. I wanted to teach people all the vocabulary they need and all of the grammar they need in just one product. And the problem is it was a bit too ambitious. So after a year or 2 years working on that, I just ran out of money. And by accident, I found out a way to just make a lot of money, helping a lot of people very quickly. And that was it's very down to earth. I was out of money. I had to pay the credit card company the next month, and I was like, okay, so I have 2 weeks to find a product that people need, that they're going to buy. And so what I did is set some summer classes where I just figured, with help from the list, again, you want to be talking to your list to find out what they need. I just came up with a list of 8 classes that I could give, 90 minutes each over the summer. And I gave those classes to about 80 students through webinars. And they were paying just 30 euros each per month. So I ended up making about 3,000 euros each month over the summer, which is not huge, but which was enough to get me out of trouble. And the reactions to classes were really good, because people were saying things such as, geez, we never learned all the things in school, even though they're very useful. I was teaching things like contractions in English, contractions in spelling, and contractions in the spoken language that we don't see in spelling. I was teaching things about grammar, some difficulties that are very specific to French people. I was teaching about slang, and 8 topics like that. Does everyone know what a webinar is? Okay. Eventually, summer was over. I spent a lot of time doing that, and comes the month of September, and I was like, okay, so I have all of those recordings from the classes. People seem to like them, but I was like, what do I do now? Should I sell those? I was like, webinar. I was giving a lot of content, but at the same time, I wasn't very confident that. I just wanted things to look better, because I feel that webinars don't look so good. It's just just a webcam and a chat, and was just a recording of that. But I ended up selling it anyway, thinking, well, there's a lot of content, some people are going to find it useful, and I ended up making 12,000 euros in 1 week. And that's when I realized that I could, if I can do that with a product that's really not optimized, because I was giving lots of content, but it's one thing to have the content and to actually be able to use it and remember it when we're learning the language. We can buy a ton of books, but if we're not able to assimilate what's in it, we're going to have a hard time. So basically that product was far from perfect, but it was enough to make a living. Anyways, I spent about 28 months creating the ideal product I had in mind. It's called Click and Speak, and it's as if Pimsleur and Glossica and Astimil had a baby all together. So you have 2 big sections of products. You have one part called monologues, where people translate from French to English. They get to see the pronunciation, so they get to listen to every single sentence they're learning. They get to see the IP transcription of every sentence. They can click on a sentence to listen to it again. They can click on every single word to listen to that single word again. Or they can click on any phoneme to hear that very specific sound again. So if you're French and you don't hear the difference between the TH sounds and the S sound, you just click and you can get used to it. It's I don't know if it sounds useful or not. The way I looked at it is that I don't sound native in English, even though I can pass as native in writing, because French school system isn't just. I had to wait until university to learn about phonetics. That doesn't make sense. Everyone should be learning about phonetics from day one. Languages are spoken. So anyway, it's a big part of the product. I just wanted people to learn about phonetics without having to be too technical about it, but just by being able to zoom in on the details of the spoken language anytime. So you have monologues in the product, and you have dialogues, one every single day. And that's a really huge product. There are 7,000 monologues, about 21,000 lines of dialogue, 365 dialogues. People learn 5,000 words in 1 year if they keep up the pace. And with those 5,000 words, they're able to understand 96% of spoken American English. And not just understand it, but they're able to use it because of everything they've learned by heart in the monologues, which there's a lot of basic stuff in nothing of it is new. Phonetic transcriptions, spatial recognition system, all those things are not new, but combining them and making it so easy for the user to use so that they can actually focus on practicing the language instead of thinking about the language, I think that makes a big difference. The best users use it 3 hours a day. If you use anything 3 hours a day, if you're studying a language 3 hours a day, for sure you're gonna get better. Anyway, So in terms of finance, I made that, well, I had ups and downs. You know, don't think of business as the same thing as having a job. You know, you get the same, you know, paycheck month to month, but when you have a business, it goes more like this. I'm broke, I have a lot of money. I'm broke, I have a lot of money. I'm broke, I have a lot of money. So that's really what happened with that product. When I started selling it, I didn't really know how much it would cost. That's an idea, I had some estimates, but no, it's just estimates. Anyway, I made about 102,000 euros in the past 12 months with this product, and I spent all of it. I wish I could say, you know, partying and things like that, but I just spent all of it paying actors, and sound engineer, a translator from English to French, an assistant, where is he? He's here somewhere, and a proofreader, obviously. So anyway, that's my stories. That's just an idea of the things you could do. Obviously, you could. I mean, it's taken me 8 years, but the first few years were slow. You know, you reap what you sow. You know, the more you put into it, the faster it's gonna go. And so that's it for the long introduction. Now I like to talk about ways to create products and to get things done. And if we have time, we'll talk about sales also, but I'm not sure we're gonna have time for that. And I'd like to have time for Q&As. So first, what to create. So hopefully, with the introduction, you get a few different ideas of what you could make. You can make a PDF book, you could make a paperback book, an audio book, a training, a piece of software. It could be on the web, it could be an app. I'm pretty sure who already has an idea for a business or a product or... Okay, so most of you. Okay, that's good. So the first question is, how do we decide what to make? And there are two things to keep in mind. The first one is, I guess that's the obvious one. You need to be creating something that's valuable. And the problem is, maybe you think that's valuable, but maybe it's not. So you need to make sure. You don't want to be spending, you know, 1 year or 2 years or 10 years of your life creating a product that no one wants. So you need to come up with ideas, but you also need to make sure that you're able to sell that product, which means you need to pick your market, you need to figure out what people want, and you need to make sure that you're actually able to sell your product once it's done. So you need to keep both in mind. If you have the product without an audience, you're wasting your time. And if you have an audience but you don't have a product, most likely you're wasting their time because you're never going to be able to go deep enough. Blogs and free resources are pretty nice, but a lot of the time they don't go deep enough. And I'm sure all of you like to go pretty deep in languages, and you know, I guess everyone's dream is to be fluent in every of the languages they speak, right? So keep that in mind. So how to pick a market? First, again, you need to be building a list. I don't care if you're just getting started. I don't care if you've had a blog for a while. You need to be building a list. That is to say, a list of people who trust you with their email address, and people you can email on a regular basis to share content with them, to share news with them. Because when your product is ready, if you don't have that list, you're stuck. You're gonna be struggling to sell the product. And so that's the first step. The second step is that you should figure out what people want with them. That's what I would call virtuous marketing. Maybe we tend to think of marketing as something that's a bit pushy. We think of the marketing from the advertisement we see, trying to sell stuff we don't need with money we don't have. So what you want to do instead, as your own boss, I think, is to find out what people want. So, because it's really, really easy, you just create what people need, you sell it to them, and it's a virtual circle. Next step, you ask them once again what they want, you create a second product, you sell it to them, and so on. It's just, it's very simple, but I don't see that many people making that, because a lot of people think they have to push things, they have to do a lot of marketing, but just create good products, talk to people, and your products are going to sell themselves. A very simple way to do your market research. It's free. You just go on Google form, create a little survey. Just Google the things up. We don't have time to go into details in just 40 minutes. But basically, you wanna ask them questions about what their problems are, what their challenges are, and in a way, one way to look at it is that think of it as a service. I think that's what makes this job meaningful. If every single day when you get up, you know that what you're going to create, what you're going to build is going to be of use of someone, I think that carries just so much more meaning than just being, part of a big corporation where it feels like if you didn't work there, it would make a single difference in the world. Another way to look at this is keep talking to people to find out what they want, and don't create a product unless or until people ask you to. How do we create value? So creating value is a bit of a buzzword in marketing. You need to create value because it's valuable. It sounds too much like hype to me. I think a much more simple and maybe healthier way to look at it is that to create value is just to help people. So the question every day is what you're doing going to help people? That's the litmus test of it all. Is it going to help people or not? Another way to look at creating value, I'm sorry, I'm not just looking at it because I'm just looking at the presentation there. Another way to look at it is to look at it as problem solving. Maybe there's a problem in terms of learning you'd like to solve, maybe you're passionate about it. I don't know, maybe you're passionate about having a native-like accent and you're good at it and you could actually teach that in one very specific product, step by step. Or maybe there's a service that you wish existed and you could just build it. Also known as scratching your own itch. What would you like to create? Hence a quick word about innovation. So on the one hand, you want to be innovating. I just told you need to ask people for what they want, and now I'm telling you should also innovate. So you can do both. The thing is, you should be innovating because else you're just gonna be copying what someone else is doing. There's no point doing that. So try to innovate. It comes with higher risks, but it also comes with higher reward because you're not going to have any competition. If you do something truly innovative and useful, then there's no competition. Something to keep in mind on the topic is that people usually don't know what they want. There's a famous quote often attributed to Henry Ford. It goes something like, if I ask people what they want, they have told me they want a faster horse. It's because people didn't know cars were a possibility. I think a good example in terms of languages is phonetics. Everyone needs to learn phonetics, but no one learning the first foreign language is going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you, I need to learn about phonetics, because they don't know what it is, or if they do, they're usually scared of it. So I think anyone can make a good income with just phonetics. A bunch of ideas. So motivation, I call it the low-hanging fruit. Just motivating people to know the language can be quite powerful. That's what I do with my newsletter. Going meta, or teaching people how to learn. That's what I did in my first 2 books. That's what Barry Farber does in How to Learn Any Language, and a bunch of the polyglots did that through the books. I think it's a good idea also. Teaching phonetics, again, I think that's a big opportunity because it's so useful and it's hard to find. Offering different type of content, fun, natural, emotional, useful, modern. Using spaced repetition, everyone should probably be using that because it's just an optimized way to review and memorize information long term. Offering audio everywhere, that should be obvious, but a lot of books still don't come with audio. IPA transcriptions, comprehensible input, saving people time. My impression that a lot of people spend a lot of time looking for resources and sometimes spend more time looking for resources than actually using them. So anything you do that saves people time is going to be valuable. A bunch of other options, putting people in touch, that's what italki is doing. That's what Verbling used to do. Personalization, based on personality types, based on what they want to learn personally. So you could do that one-on-one. If you have, who here has some experience teaching one-on-one? Okay, I think that's a very huge asset because you could simply systematize what you do one-on-one and turn it into a product. Specialized topics by profession, by hobby. Slang, people love to learn about slang, but that's not something you learn in school for, I guess, obvious reasons. NLP, so it can mean 2 different things. NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, is a bunch of communication techniques to help you communicate more efficiently. It's also used in the world of coaching to figure out what makes best people the best at what they do. So if you're really good at something very specific, could be speaking like a native in terms of accent, I would suggest you read about neurolinguistic programming so that you be able to make conscious what's probably unconscious inside of you, and you might be able to get some very, very, very useful product, because what you have in your brain, you would be just turning it into a product. And so if you're really good at one thing, that's what you should do, I think. Another NLP means something different. Natural language processing. A lot of universities share some of those tools for free. And the problem with universities is they create all of those useful tools, but they only use them for themselves, for research. And so it's a bit of a shame, because you could be creating so many useful products with those. I think the best recent example is probably Lingui. Does anyone use Lingui for translations? Well, it works in a bunch of languages: Russian, French, German, and it helps you just look for, instead of looking for a translation on Google Translate or in the dictionary, you can just look it up on Lingui, and the results are all parallel bilingual text.
How do you spell Lingui?
lingue.com.fr. They have a bunch of different domains. Same thing for Phonetics. Well, just look into what universities are doing and sharing, and turn that into useful products you can publish. Discipline and creativity. Getting things done. So we need both, obviously, creativity. But who here identifies more as being very creative? You know, they have lots of ideas, and the problem, the challenge is, when you have a lot of ideas, how do you actually finish anything? To do that, you need some discipline. The goal, ideally, is to be self-motivated, self-disciplined. Let's get into a bunch of techniques. So if you have an idea for a product and you want to make it happen, you need to be able to focus your energy to make progress every single day until the project is done and you're ready to send out emails saying, hey guys, the product is ready, come buy it and come use it. But how do you do that? So first technique is called Eat That Frog. It's also the name of a book by Brian Tracy. And it comes from a Mark Twain quote that goes something like, the first thing you were to do every day, first thing in the morning, is to eat a frog. The rest of your day would taste delicious. And this applies to work also. So you have two ways to look at work. First, the bad one is, okay, let's get the day started pretty slowly, you know, let's take it easy, let's start with easy things, such as emails and things like that. But that's just not how you are the most productive. So do the hardest thing first, and then by the end of the day, towards the end of the day, you might be more tired, but the easiest task will be easy to do when you're tired. So basically, it's very simple. Don't wait until you're tired to do what's important. Do what's important and do what's hard first thing in the morning. Another one is to work in sessions of 50 minutes with a timer. Some people use just sessions of 20 minutes and call it Pomodoro. So why a timer? You need to try it for yourself to find out, but basically when the timer is running, you feel some pressure to actually be doing something instead of procrastinating or multitasking and things like that. So it just helps you focus for 50 minutes, and then when the timer rings, you can just write down where you stopped. It'd be easy to resume, and then just do something very different. So most likely you're going to be working on the computer. So after 50 minutes, just do something very different. With a timer too, this way you don't have to worry about taking too long a break or feeling guilty about taking too much time. So to relax and recuperate properly, you want to be doing something different. Think of it as switching channels. So a few examples are to just lie down on the couch, do nothing for 10 minutes. Not something that would be seen in a positive light in an office, but something you can do from home. No one's judging you. You could go for a walk, go for a power nap, play some musical instrument, exercise. Meditation is a good one also. And if you do that, when you get back to work after your 10 minutes break, you're gonna feel rested and you're gonna get more done. I knew of a student who tried that before her exam, and her reaction was that she had done more in one day using this technique than in the previous 2 weeks. So just give it a shot. Another one is having a morning ritual or morning routine. Just pretty simple one. Feel free to adapt it to what you like. But the core idea is to have something you do every single morning, so that becomes a habit. And the goal is that it be something that helps you start the day on the right foot, so you feel good about yourself, so you feel creative, productive. So here's one. I use it. A bunch of other people use it. Brush your teeth when you get up. Drink half a liter of water. I'm not really into meditation, but I do something similar. I just walk around the apartment for 10 minutes, trying to feel grateful. It's a good emotion to start the day. Work for 50 minutes, breakfast, work for 50 minutes, take a shower, work for 50 minutes. And it comes lunchtime, I've already been pretty productive and I feel pretty good about what I achieved. Avoiding distractions, a few rule of thumbs, no email before noon. You don't want to be starting your day reacting to things. You like to be starting your day on your own basis, doing what is important to you, not just answering some stupid emails. No Facebook or social networks before 7 p.m. That's a good way also to avoid procrastination. And one way to sum it up is that the key to self-discipline is managing your emotions. A good way to do that is delay gratification. So whenever you feel like doing something and you know it's not good for you, you don't have to say no to it. I think it's very hard to say no to what you want to do because you want it even more, right? So instead, just say I'll do it later. Same for procrastination. If you feel like procrastinating, just tell to yourself, I'll procrastinate later. How to write a book or audiobook or course. We don't have all that much time left, so I'm gonna skip the left part and focus on the right section. So how to write. This is some advice from Neil Strauss, multiple-time New York Times bestseller. The first draft is for you. The first draft sucks, but everything you want to say is in there. So it's almost like brainstorming on paper. Just put it all out there, so before you forget it. It's not gonna be so great in terms of style, but it's okay, it's part of the job. The second draft is for the reader. You're taking out anything you don't need. And the third draft is for the haters, that even people who don't like what you're doing have to compromise and realize that you made some valid points. How to sell ethically. So what we saw earlier was just you find out what people need, and you sell it to them. So obviously, if you choose the product right and you talk to the people who are interested in what you're doing, I mean, it's not so hard to sell. Now to spread your word, one good way to look at it is that you should be marketing through education. That's the beauty of the internet. You don't have to use some stupid advertisement with, I don't know, a woman selling some yogurt. Just, anyway, I won't go. You've all seen advertisements, I'm pretty sure. Instead, what you can do is that you market through education. And the nice thing about it is that even people who don't buy are going to learn something from you. So no matter what, you're winning. I mean, if you're helpful to people, whether they buy or not, I mean, in my book, you did a good job. Another way to look at it is that you should give first. No one's gonna, people need to trust that what you're doing is, like the real thing. So you need to give first, and down the line, they're gonna, pay to get more because they trust you and they want more. So your goal is to help people once again, and only then you get paid for it. A very good way to market through education is webinars. So you just talk to the people on your list. Plan an event where I did that like, 14 times. Over the course of an hour, I teach about 100 or 200 people about what's most important when you learn in English. Usually the structure is the same. I'm pretty sure you can do the same for any language. First, tell them about the important phonetics, then about ways to memorize the vocabulary, and finally we talk a little about grammar. While the school system usually does things the other way around. Lots of grammar, lots of grammar, lots of grammar, and maybe, you know, 10 years later you're gonna actually learn how to pronounce the language. So, just, you know, give first, teach people, and another way to look at your whole project, whether you wanna call it, you know, a book, an enterprise, a blog, whatever, think of it as a curriculum. It's gonna be especially useful when you build your products. Think of your products as a product line, so think of all the steps people need to go through to master the language learning. So maybe you want to start with motivation first, and you want to teach people how to learn, especially that first foreign language. People don't know how to learn. A lot of people think that bad at languages, it's not that they have a personal issue, it's just that it's just random. Some people know how to tackle languages, others don't, so you can teach them. And then maybe you want to learn about phonetics, and maybe, well, the C, E, F, R levels, that's pretty useful for that. You know, just find out what's needed at A1, what's needed at A2, and so on. Just think of it as a curriculum, as a process that can be followed step by step, maybe over the course of a few years, actually. And that's the so-called awesome is the same idea. If you're selling to people what they need, what they want, then you want them to be using the product, you want them to be leaving reviews on the product, and then you repeat the process. You find out, you know, what do they need next, and you just create it. That's it. I'll share the presentation on Facebook and Twitter. What else do I want to say? Yeah, I've included a bunch of resources. This is most useful books if you'd like to be, starting a business that has to do with languages, or any kind of business online, I think. Influencing people, it's a bunch of, when you write your sales page, you should be thinking about very specific things. You should, well, we don't really have to go into the details of it, but just have a look at Launch from Jeff Walker, who goes through all of those details. You want to be presenting yourself and your product in the right way, and those things are going to help you do that. Other concepts, we don't have time for that. Outro, I would suggest you mingle and team up here at the conference, because everyone has different skills, so it makes a lot of sense to team up. Maybe you're very technical, maybe someone else is better at something you don't know, and things like that. Feel free to pick my brains during the gathering. I love to talk about the things. I could talk about it all day. Resources are at the end of the document. And also, if you're a translator, a programmer or linguist, I'll be hiring a lot of translator programmers languages in the coming months, so feel free to just drop me an email at fabien.snauwaert@gmail.com, and that is Q&As can start finally. Raise the microphone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. And a couple of moments ago you said that you want to be presenting the products in the right way, and you said you had some sources about that, 2 of them in particular?
Right, so the reference on the matter would be a book called Launch by Jeff Walker. It's in the PDF, it's in the, okay, bunch of books. Well, it's a bit too, no, can you read? Launched by Jeff Walker. I'll just share the presentation. So he talks about the psychology of selling, and the idea that you should find out what people want and how to sell it to them. He also had a bunch of very expensive trainings, but I think the book is just on Kindle for like $5, and it's a pretty good investment.
Thank you.
I have a question related to the business part of your presentation, which I really appreciated, by the way. What was your biggest mistake, the biggest mistake that you made at the beginning of this big project, And what would you recommend to people who will start in the next month?
So I would say the biggest mistake was to, after the first book, the biggest mistake was to focus too much on trying to advertise and market the book, hoping to make enough of an income to be independent with just one book. That was a big mistake. Instead, what I should have been doing is find out what people needed after that book. Basically, the big idea here is that you don't want to be chasing all the time after new customers. If you create a product, people like it, people use it, what you want to do is focus on those, because those people are your best customers. They're the ones who have a lot of potential. So ask them what they want next, create it, and then just keep going.
Hi. I'm a developer and I'm looking for people interested in creating applications, but I don't know any platform or any like we are here now, but I don't know if there is a panel for it or any way to find them.
To meet partners to start a venture, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think you should start here, because obviously people, well, it's a bit the same question at the hiring. You want to be working with people who love what they do, who are self-motivated and self-disciplined. Even that, so you have to be willing to say no to people who are just okay partners. You need to find someone that's a great partner. It might take a while. Keep working on your own thing until you find that person. But yeah, because if you start something with someone you don't really trust and you don't really share that big an interest, and maybe they're not that motivated, you're just gonna waste your time. In a way, it's harder to do it on your own, because it's nice to have something to throw you the ball and exchange ideas. And sometimes if you work on it just on your own, you're gonna be missing the problems that are very obvious to everyone else. So it's nice to have a partner. But so yeah, just keep talking to people. And yeah, I don't have like a straight answer to it. Just it takes time.
Okay.
But I think it's okay to just focus on your own thing, and eventually, when you need someone, you'll just find them.
Okay, I just have a short question on, you focused on eating a frog in the morning, because otherwise you'll be tired later, so you should start with the big things when you're not tired. Well, what about people who just are totally tired in the morning? Because that's my case, and I wonder like if maybe there's different patterns, or you have to adjust. Or...
Right, I would say drink half a liter of water first. But yeah, I used to be pretty I used to be pretty much the same. I would get up at 3 in the afternoon, at my worst. I would say find ways to get more energy more quickly, because I used to be the same, like, you feel foggy and sleepy at first, but like the techniques about, brushing your teeth, drinking half a liter of water, some meditation, and getting to work right away. I think if you try it for a while, see if it helps you. For me, it made a big difference.
Oh, thank you. I have a question about creating a list. You had a number of suggestions, including like blog and things like that, but how do you even take that first step? Can you elaborate a little on taking even the very first step?
Sure. That's where the challenge used to be, that it used to be quite technical. It's still a bit technical. You had to install your blog yourself. Worry about things like, going onto the FTP server, uploading the file and all those things. But these days you can find services that have sort of everything included. So ideally you'd like to find a service where they host a list for you, and they help you create web pages very easily. I'm not the best person to ask you, because I tend to program everything myself, do everything by hand. But I know that these days you have systems that make it a lot more easy. As for building, so that's the technical side of things. Basically, technically, it's getting easier and easier, which means that more and more people are going to be able to share their ideas, even if they don't know about technical stuff. And to build the list itself, give first, give something of value. It's, maybe you're giving a PDF. If you have an app, maybe you're giving, a trial for a while, things like that. And just make it very clear what you're offering to people, and they're gonna sign up. And in my case, as I said, I have very little traffic, and I'm still able to make a good living out of it. So just give first, and people are gonna want more.
They'll find you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's also the question of people finding you. So my experience not so much in blogging, like people just finding me, and that's why I have very little traffic. But even with very little traffic, you can get something started.
Thank you.
No more questions?
How early on would you start outsourcing and like paying other people to do work for you?
It's a very good question. It's a very good question. I tend to do everything myself because I like the challenge, and I like the fact that when you're running a business, you can do very different things. It has to do with selling, has to do with psychology. The technical side of things is a bit of an engineering problem, and then there's all the linguistic questions. So I would say it may make sense to try and save some money, or to find someone who's able and likes to do the things you don't like to do or don't know how to do. More to the point, what was the question again?
Well, maybe more specific, like, does it make sense to already pay someone when you haven't made any money yourself yet? Yeah,
that makes sense if it saves you time. Basically, you're always paying no matter what. The question is, do you want to pay with your money or with your time? So, and I think it also makes a lot of sense to learn how to do things yourself first, even if just a little, just so that when you're outsourcing, you know what to ask for. So try things for yourself a little by hand, and if you don't like something, just outsource it and be done with it.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I wanted to ask you, what is the biggest obstacle for you that you have right now? Like, it will be like you need more money, you need more time, you need more people. What do you need?
I need a vacation. Because basically, the last product I've been working at it since, what is it? It's been about 28 months now. And over the past 12 months, I only got 2 weeks off. So the next step is just to rest, not burn out. And after that, I just have a lot of. I don't have so many problems as opportunities right now, so it's a good spot to be in. And I have to find out how to grow, how to get more people to know about my product, and to do that, I'm probably gonna use people who are already using and loving the product, because they're the best people to spread the word.
And last question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
If you could give to yourself a piece of advice back when you started in 2007, what will be this piece of advice? The key thing for you at the beginning.
Sure. Try to help as many people as possible.
Again? Sorry.
Try to help as many people as possible. It's not about you. It's about helping your prospects and customers. So look at it this way, and things are gonna get easier and easier.
I do agree. Thank you.